to meet you.
What's your name?
Ricardo Racinos.
Okay. I'm going to interview about what makes a successful teacher. To start off, how would you define a successful teacher?
A successful teacher. So what I would define as a successful teacher is a teacher, that feels empathy for their students and doesn't just see them as, doesn't just see coming to school as a 9 to 5, they see this as like, an actual thing for students. Like, this is like their future right here. Like, you're in charge of their future. So this is very important for the students to learn and grow. So like, you want to grow bonds and not just see them as like some kids you're watching, but see them as like, friends you're making along the way, and like you're impacting their life in a way. So, I feel like it's very like important for a teacher to be very empathetic and just get to know the kids, like just be a friend,
Can you name one quality or skill that you think every successful teacher should have?
One quality skill of every successful teacher, definitely communication. I feel like every student or teacher should be able to communicate with their students. Like, let's say a student's, acting out in class, instead of just getting mad and sending attention, maybe have a talk with them. Be like, hey, why is this, what's going on, anything happening? Or if they're not submitting work, ask them what you could do as a teacher maybe. And like, just communicating. That's like the number one fundamental for a teacher.
Why do you think this quality is important in the classroom?
To elaborate more on what I said before, like, you never know what a kid's going on at home. Like, there's more, reasons why they're acting the way they are. It's, not just because the student's initially bad, but there's a root to the cause. So I feel like the best way is to communicate and understand what's going on so you could learn how to help and work around with these students.
Can you share an example of a time when a teacher showed this quality and it helped you learn?
Yeah, so definitely Mrs. Schwartzfarb, she's a great example, always in class, she's always asking, always asking questions on, how she could improve too, or if like any questions and stuff. And then always asking like questions about like, especially if she knows you're not doing your work, she'll definitely come talk to you. And like, she's always just like helping. And suppose another example too, Miss Amadi, she's always, listening, always giving me a hand, always giving me advice and stuff. And just like always, teaching me how to be better. And like, if she does notice like a shift in my behavior, she'll like ask me like, hey, I've been noticing this lately, are you okay? Is everything okay at home? And just be mandated reporters too, even just looking out.
What's the second quality you believe is necessary for a teacher to be successful?
Second quality. So, besides communication, definitely energetic. You can't just be a quiet teacher. You gotta be like, want the kids to come to class, right? Like, you don't just want your kids to like just hate coming to school. You want to be the teacher that makes them want to come to school, and they're gonna be like excited when they wake up. They're looking forward to your class, And I just feel like, that's like just amazing, just being like a great teacher, like, just sitting down, just putting on like your board and like, all right, do notes, read this book, like actually like make a great plan for your lesson so the kids like, are energized, make it energy, help the kids, have the kids like all like as a group too, like just have them all work together and stuff, and not just have it be around like notes and stuff, like actually make a good thought out lesson and like, that you feel would be great for these kids and like encourage them to want to learn.
Have you seen this quality make a difference in your own experience?
Definitely, as my time in school, I definitely, everyone's had a teacher, they just like, they woke up or like even during that period, you just hated being in that class, you're falling asleep, nodding off, and you're kind of like, when is this going to end? Or like, you're not even doing the work because, like you don't even understand the teacher sometimes because their lessons and stuff, they feel just too repetitive. But, if you like, I noticed like when I have a teacher, especially like Mrs. Schwartzfarb, she's a great example. Like, she's always communicating to class, always putting just some of the best material on the board. Definitely Miss Schwartzfarb. Like, it just makes me energetic. Like, I always can't wait to come to her class because I already know we're going to do something exciting every day. Like, I don't even have to have a single doubt in my mind what Mrs. Schwartzfarb is going to be putting on the board for me that day. So definitely that's encouraged me to come to class, get my journal down, get my weekly quote, all that. And this, she also has like a nice rubric So like, let's say I'm not in class that day, she has a calendar. I can go and check the calendar, which I'm so thankful for. Thank you, Mr. Schwartzman.
Think back to any teacher who had a big impact on you. What did they do that made them effective or memorable?
You know, definitely the main memorable one, all through high school, because I had her my freshman year, Miss Amadi, back then, I wasn't really a good student, I never paid attention, I was messing around in class, I was joking around, I never did the work, but, Miss Amadi, she saw that still, and she, even though I did that, and I was always, disruptive in her class, she still saw, me as a person, not just some annoying little kid in her class. She always wanted to help me out, and always just ask, the deeper cause, to me. And, I felt like, that's what encouraged me to, want to come to class and, do the work and stuff, It's like, just stuff, little things like that, not giving up on your students, that all just adds a big impact, I feel like that's what all future teachers need to, pay attention to, be empathetic.
Are there any articles, books, or quotes from educators that support your view of what makes a teacher successful?
A book, there's this one book on how to be a successful teacher, and basically it's kind of like a joking book, but there's a bunch of key factors. Actually, right now, I'll go grab the book. All right, so we're back. So this is the book I was referring to. Teachers, the struggle is real. So may you repeat your question again so I can...
Are there any articles, books, or quotes from educators that support your view of what makes a teacher successful?
Yeah, so in this book right here, this is definitely a great example. It's not just like a book, it's a fun book, for teachers and stuff. It's giving you stuff like eagerness, timing for your stress, there's different stages of going back to school, especially for teachers too. And then look at right here, this is a good quote. The more students, the merrier, said no teacher. Or a well-decorated classroom is just like the smile on my face. It makes everyone feel a little safer even though there's an overwhelming mess behind it, That's a good quote too. So let's just take a deeper look into this. Think about it. When you have a well-decorated classroom, the kids are going to come there, they're going to feel the environment and the energy coming from the classroom. And that's another important thing too. You don't want just a boring, bland classroom. See, because in the classroom it's very stressful, there's a lot of work, doing tests and stuff. But if you're in a nice, the quote was saying, when you're having a test and stuff, it could be stressful. But if you're in a good classroom environment, nice decorated walls, photos, you feel more accustomed to the teacher, especially those photos of their family. You feel like, you get to know this person a little more, their favorite shows, posters, for example, shorts from Harry Potter, Hamilton. Her husband, Mr. Schwartzfarb, and her daughter, Emily. If it makes you feel more accustomed to their teacher's life, and I feel like that's just a great touch, and it makes you feel comfortable in the classroom.
If you became a teacher, what qualities would you focus on developing in yourself and why?
Definitely a quality I would have loved to focus on if I had became a teacher, or no, if I was a teacher. I would definitely focus on this main quality, which I would like to call, definitely I would like to work on more social skills. Because, when you're a teacher, it's not just the kids, there's also a bunch of different teachers, and I would love to be able to communicate and get to know with other teachers, ask them their skills on what they think of successful teachers, ask them and how they do it. And then I could definitely learn a thing or two, which is great about learning. As the teacher, you still have more to learn. Even though you're a teacher, you might be the teacher, but you can be the learnee, if you know what I mean. So definitely as a teacher, I would love to work on my social skills and communicate with the students too, become friends with them, and the teachers around me, so I could pick up skills and stuff, and definitely stuff I could learn to adapt to my teaching.
And that is all the questions I have for you
That was all for today. Thank you. I hope I encouraged you future teachers out there. And just remember, be safe, don't do drugs, and God bless.